Imagine waking up tomorrow, you roll out of bed, grab your phone, you open your social media, and you are just gone.
Like, completely erased.
Completely erase your entire digital presence.
Yeah.
And, you didn't violate the terms of service. You didn't post anything hateful. You were deleted simply because you look like someone famous.
Right. And that famous person basically felt threatened by your existence, so they pushed a button to make you disappear.
Yeah. It sounds like the pitch for, I don't know, a dystopian sci-fi movie.
It really does, yeah. But based on the legal frameworks being rolled out right now, it's way closer to everyday reality than anyone really wants to admit.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today.
Open Loop: Patterns, Power, and the Future.
Today's mission is to explore this massive kind of structural shift in your digital rights that is hidden inside a brand new law.
Right, because we need to understand how these rapid AI takedown mandates, which, to be fair, genuinely were designed to protect victims.
Sure, yeah.
How they're accidentally building this, delete first, appeal later ecosystem.
Which ultimately just shields the powerful while trapping ordinary creators in an impossible labyrinth. So
Yeah.
the center of gravity for all of this is the Take It Down Act, or TIDA.
Yeah, Taida. Let's lay out the mechanics of this legislation first so we understand the stakes here.
Good call.
So the Take It Down Act was signed into federal law on May 19th, 2025, right? With full enforcement hitting exactly 1 year later, so May 19th, 2026.
So we are right in it.
Exactly. And the core function of the law gives the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, the authority to mandate that online platforms remove non-consensual intimate imagery.
NCII.
Right, NCII, or digital forgeries within 48 hours of a valid request.
Wow, 48 hours.
Yeah, and if a platform fails to comply within that window, they face, catastrophic business-ending penalties.
Right, and on paper, rushing to get rid of non-consensual imagery is obviously a good thing. Like, nobody is arguing against protecting victims.
Of course not. No one.
But the catch is in the legal phrasing. While highly stylized or abstract art is safe, say you draw a stick figure or, make a claymation video.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anything that is deemed indistinguishable from an identifiable person is placed directly in the crosshairs.
Yeah, indistinguishable from a real, identifiable individual. That single phrase is doing, an enormous amount of heavy lifting here.
It really is.
Because it introduces this massive gray area for realistic artistic renderings or harmless AI generations and critically actual flesh and blood human lookalikes.
Well, let me play devil's advocate here for a second regarding that 48-hour window, because a lot of people might hear that and think, well, 48 hours is 2 whole days.
Right.
And these are multi-billion, sometimes trillion-dollar tech giants. They have tens of thousands of employees, huge moderation teams.
Yeah, massive teams.
So isn't 48 hours plenty of time for a human to just, look at a video and verify if it's a malicious deepfake or just some guy who happens to look like a celebrity?
If we were talking about a few dozen videos a day, absolutely.
Right. But we have to factor in the sheer unimaginable scale of the modern internet. Users are uploading hundreds of thousands of hours of video every single minute.
It's just a fire hose.
Exactly. Human moderation at that scale is just mathematically impossible. So when you combine an infinite stream of uploads with an incredibly tight 48-hour legal deadline.
And the threat of those massive FTC fines.
Right. Platforms simply cannot afford to carefully investigate every single claim.
So they just default to panic mode. They automate the panic.
Pretty much, yeah. They build an automated system that is designed to mitigate financial risk, not to, find the truth. The timeline is essentially the mechanism of the trap.
That makes me think of, there's this old gaming community from the late 90s, the Insane Demons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, their whole clan motto was shoot now, think later, or, kill now, think later. And it wasn't because they were needlessly aggressive. It was just pure self-preservation in a chaotic environment.
You protect yourself first. Exactly. And isn't the government essentially forcing these tech platforms to adopt that exact same survival mindset?
Oh, 100%. The platforms are the gamers, and those FTC penalties are the incoming fire. To protect themselves, they will absolutely default to a shoot now, think later protocol.
Yeah.
And in legal and constitutional terms, this creates what we call a heckler's veto.
A heckler's veto. Okay, let me see if I have this right. It's when the person complaining the heckler essentially gets automatic power to shut down speech.
Right.
Not because they are right, but because it's just too much of a hassle or a financial risk for the venue to deal with the disruption.
That is a perfect definition, yeah. A powerful person basically takes a legal tool meant for protection and they weaponize it for suppression.
Man.
Because these platforms are so terrified of being hit with massive fines, they aren't going to spend 47 hours conducting a thorough, balanced investigation into a claim filed by, say, a high-profile individual.
They're just going to default to immediate deletion.
Exactly. The heckler gets an automatic veto over your digital footprint simply because the platform's financial risk of leaving your content up is just too high.
And, to understand how this gets weaponized, the sources point to historical examples of how power operates.
Right.
Like figures who aggressively try to control media narratives. Donald Trump is used as an example in the material, specifically his historical pattern of trying to shut down public television shows or silence critical news networks, quiet vocal opponents.
Yeah, and we need to be incredibly clear here for the listener.
Yes, absolutely. We are not taking a partisan political stance here at all. We are looking strictly at the mechanics of power and censorship as presented in the sources.
Right, because the underlying warning is that any powerful person, a billionaire CEO, a foreign diplomat, any future president,
Anyone with influence, yeah.
could use this exact law to instantly silence a critic or a political opponent or even just a satirist who is gaining too much traction.
Because the mechanics of power always seek the path of least resistance.
Exactly. The people who utilize aggressive tactics to maintain control, they are the very same people who benefit most from these rapidly drafted, overly broad rules.
We're basically handing over a tool for instant censorship because there was no robust resolution process put in effect before the power to delete was granted.
Yeah, and deletion is only half the nightmare.
Right.
It's one thing to have a video or an account taken down. The real tragedy is what happens the morning after, when you try to get your digital life back.
Because there is zero due process built into the Takedown Act before the deletion happens.
Zero. What follows is a concept known as process as punishment. You are forced into an administrative labyrinth that is basically designed to make you give up.
Which, I think the best way to understand this is to look at how we already experience this in the physical world.
Oh, the Walmart optical story.
Yes, think about the last time you dealt with a medical billing error. There's this story from the sources about a guy who went to a Walmart optical department in January. He uses his wife's insurance for a basic eye exam. He explicitly turns down all the fancy extras. He just wants basic computer reading glasses.
Keep it simple.
Right, it's fully covered. And he pays a $5 copay. Walks out thinking the transaction is totally clean and simple.
Which is the expectation of a functioning system, right?
Exactly. But months later, completely out of nowhere, he get a call from a collections agency saying he owes over $100.
Insane.
So he calls the number back, trying to figure out what went wrong. The agent who answers sounds like she just woke up. She's mumbling, totally unhelpful, refuses to explain the charge.
Classic.
She literally tells him, you could just call back, and hangs up the phone on him.
Wow.
And when he finally drives down to the actual physical store to talk to a human being, the nice lady at the desk tells him, oh yeah, this happens all the time.
This happens all the time. That phrase right there is the giveaway. Because when we dig into systems like that, we discover that insurance companies and massive bureaucracies, they often create these messy, impossible loops intentionally.
Intentionally. That is wild.
Yeah, they use them to squeeze people for small bills, $100 here, $300 there.
So they're basically hacking their own customers. They know the juice isn't worth the squeeze for the average person to fight it.
Exactly. They rely on an algorithmic system that flags people who are statistically likely to just pay the bill rather than fight back.
Because the average person doesn't have the time to spend 20 hours on hold.
No. And they certainly cannot afford to hire a lawyer over a $100 discrepancy. It's systematic exhaustion. That is the literal definition of process as punishment. The difficulty of the system is the feature. It's not a bug.
So when we map that optical nightmare onto the Takedown Act, the platforms are going to do the exact same thing to users whose content gets flagged.
100%.
If an automated AI scanner or a celebrity claims your content is a forgery, boom, you are deleted within 48 hours. And when you try to fight it, you're dropped into that same impossible appeals process.
You won't be able to get a human on the phone.
No, you'll just get automated email replies sending you to broken FAQ pages. You won't have money for a lawyer to prove your innocence. The platform will intentionally make the resolution process so difficult and so exhausting that you just throw your hands up and disappear.
They save money on customer service, and they avoid the FTC fine. It's a win-win for the corporation and a total loss for you, the user.
But let me push back a bit. Are we being a little too cynical here?
How so?
Would tech companies actually overreact to a federal law and crater their own systems this way? Content is their product? It feels counterintuitive that they would aggressively delete their own users just to comply with a law.
Well, we don't have to guess if they will do this because there is a massive historical precedent that is practically identical to this situation.
No, really.
Yeah, we only need to look back at the YouTube child safety panic regarding COPPA.
Ah, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act.
Right. When YouTube was suddenly facing massive federal fines regarding child-directed content, they did not implement a nuanced, careful system to evaluate videos. They panicked.
They just flipped a switch.
Yeah, they implemented sweeping, draconian rules that severely hurt ordinary, well-meaning creators.
I actually remember when that happened. The sources talk about creators uploading these really innocent gameplay videos of this old game, Medal of Honor, Spearhead.
Yeah, the old PC game.
Yeah, just standard blocky gameplay footage from years ago.
Yeah.
And suddenly, those videos were being taken down or demonetized simply because they featured digital explosions and guns.
Right.
The creator hadn't specifically categorized the video in YouTube's new, highly flawed binary system of safe for children or not safe for children.
Because the automated system couldn't discern context. It couldn't tell the difference between malicious, harmful content and just harmless archival gameplay footage.
It just saw a gun, it saw a flag, and it penalized the channel.
Exactly. And to survive, creators were forced to blindly label everything not safe for children just to avoid getting strikes on their accounts.
But doing that meant they lost any chance at monetization. They had to crater their own channels and their own livelihoods just to comply with a broken, terrified algorithm.
Yep.
And we are looking at a giant flare going up in the night sky here. AI labeling is going to follow this exact same path.
It's an inevitable parallel. Under the Takedowns Act, platforms will be forced to implement automated systems that constantly check AI content and just regular video uploads against massive databases of real-life people and copyrighted likenesses.
Right.
If the system's pattern recognition flags your face as an AI likeness of someone famous, even if it's literally just you naturally looking like yourself, you're getting deleted.
Because the platform is protecting its assets, not the truth. The truth doesn't pay the bills. Avoiding the fine pays the bills.
Exactly. The corporations that run these platforms, they'll likely hate this law internally. It degrades the user experience, creates friction, but they will enforce it ruthlessly.
Yeah, they'll be terrified every time a claim comes in.
Right, and they will always side with the claim to avoid the existential threat of federal penalties.
Which brings up a huge question about the balance of power. Who actually wins in an ecosystem where the platform's only goal is asset protection?
Well, let's put a face to this and walk through a thought experiment.
Okay.
Imagine a younger, completely unknown creator online. He's not doing anything malicious or trying to scam anyone. He just genuinely looks, sounds, and acts exactly like Adam Sandler.
Okay, yeah. He grew up watching him, internalized the mannerisms, and he is just trying to build his own little comedy career on social media.
Right. It's a completely harmless, organic, digital footprint. He's just existing as himself.
But let's say Adam Sandler, or, more likely Adam Sandler's massive legal and management team,
Right.
sees this kid online and they do not like it. They feel threatened that someone looks and sounds like their client, or they just view it as brand dilution.
Yeah, they want it gone.
So under this new law, Sandler's team files a takedown request against the kid. What is the immediate result?
The kid is instantly erased. The platform receives the complaint from Adam Sandler's representatives. Sandler is a known entity. He's a massive revenue generator. He is an asset.
Right?
They look at the 48-hour FTC window. They look at the unknown kid who generates zero significant ad revenue, and they hit delete.
Wow. There is no trial.
No due process. The kid is tossed into that endless processes punishment Walmart loop we talked about, and he never gets his account back.
Now let's flip the script, because this is where the double standard becomes blindingly obvious.
Okay, let's hear it.
What if that unknown kid sees Adam Sandler doing a comedy sketch on a late-night show that clearly mocks the kid's viral videos? The kid feels his likeness is being used non-consensually. He files a takedown request against Adam Sandler. Does Adam Sandler get taken down?
Absolutely not. And that perfectly highlights the core inequality baked into these fast takedown laws. Even if, by some bizarre algorithmic glitch, Both of them were taken down initially. Who's going to get their content restored faster? Adam Sandler has high-powered lawyers on retainer.
Right, he has direct phone lines to platform executives.
He represents money and prestige to the platform. The kid has a broken FAQ page and an automated email address that no one checks.
It creates a world where your face doesn't even belong to you if someone richer looks like you.
Exactly.
And I was thinking about the extreme edge cases of this logic. What happens if you have identical twins or triplets?
Oh man, it sounds absurd, but it's a very real legal puzzle under this framework.
Right, imagine identical twins. One of them becomes a massive public figure, maybe an A-list actor or a prominent politician. They decide they want total control over their public image. Can they legally use the Takedown Act to block their own sibling's digital footprint?
That's wild.
Does the famous twin effectively own the copyright to the non-famous twin's face?
Under a strict, automated enforcement of this law, yes, they effectively do. If the famous twins legal team claims the imagery is indistinguishable from their client, the platform's algorithm will delete the non-famous twin to avoid the fine.
That is terrifying.
The law fundamentally favors the established and the powerful. It is always easier and cheaper for tech companies to delete and forget than to fund a robust, human-led due process system. Unknown creators, or just normal people, they have absolutely no leverage to fight back.
It makes me wonder why all of this is moving so incredibly fast. When you look back at the early internet in the 90s and 2000s, it had decades to evolve naturally.
Right, the Wild West days.
Yeah, people built weird websites in their basements. It was an underground, chaotic space to explore ideas. But with AI, we skipped the exploration phase. We jumped straight from, here's a cool new tool, to here are extreme restrictions and federal laws locking it down under threat of massive fines. With a sudden, overwhelming panic.
Well, to understand the speed, we have to look at the economic threat. This isn't just a clumsy legislative accident. The sources outline a strong theory that this is a coordinated effort by governments and massive corporations to purposefully bottleneck AI.
Bottleneck so only certain people can use it.
Precisely. Think about the timeline of the past few years. AI was let out of the box, and open source models that anyone could download and modify, like DeepSeek, they started getting incredibly good, incredibly fast.
Oh yeah, the jumps in quality were insane.
Right. We saw models that were theoretically capable of interacting with or threatening critical infrastructure. That obviously scared national security apparatuses.
Sure.
But more importantly, the sheer quality of open source AI threatened highly paid industries, established Hollywood studios, and corporate power structures.
Because if anyone can render a blockbuster quality movie in their basement, the major studios lose their monopoly on entertainment.
Exactly.
So the ultimate goal of these takedown laws isn't just public safety, it's to reserve the high-end, unrestricted AI models exclusively for the rich. They want to protect their wealth.
The logic is chillingly simple from a corporate standpoint. If you bottleneck the best AI through extreme regulation and liability laws, you force it into centralized, corporate-owned, walled gardens.
Right.
An established actor or studio uses their immense wealth to secure their own image rights and generate passive income without actually working. Meanwhile, ordinary programmers and independent creators are completely shut out of the ecosystem.
They give us the nerfed versions, they give the public tools with endless restrictions baked in. You can generate an image, but you can't use this style. You can't mimic this voice. You can't do this, this, or this.
Yeah.
And by legally enforcing those restrictions, they're quietly suffocating the public-facing, underground creative spaces that made the internet revolutionary in the first place.
The powerful get to use AI to expand their empires while leveraging laws like the Takedown Act to ensure nobody from the bottom can use AI or even their own natural likeness to rise up and challenge them.
Man, it is a lot to take in. So let's bring all of this together for everyone listening. We started by looking at a law, the Takedown Act, which goes into full effect in May 2026.
Right.
On the surface, it is a necessary tool to protect victims of non-consensual imagery by forcing platforms to delete malicious content within 48 hours.
But as we've uncovered, that impossible 48-hour window fundamentally morphs the law into a weapon. It creates a heckler's veto, where automated systems default to shoot now, think later censorship, simply to avoid crippling FTC fines.
Yeah, and it sets up an ecosystem that wildly favors the established elite, like in our Adam Sandler scenario, over ordinary people. And worse, it leans on the absolute worst elements of corporate bureaucracy.
Process is punishment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It traps innocent users in that loop, much like a nightmare collections agency, where there's no human to talk to and no money for a lawyer to clear your name.
Which brings us to the crucial warning and the urgent call to action from the sources. We desperately need open, public-facing, creative AI spaces to thrive. But those spaces must have lawful, balanced safeguards that protect everyone, not just the wealthy.
The core of that safeguard has to be balance. Fast takedown must come with fast restoration.
Yeah.
You cannot have a 48-hour dilution mandate without an equally fast, accessible, and fair restoration process. Due process cannot be a premium feature priced out of reach for the average person.
If the law creates the mechanism for rapid deletion, the law must equally mandate the mechanism for rapid resolution. Otherwise, we are just handing an erasure button to whoever has the biggest legal budget.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you to mull over. We've talked about how the rich can control your likeness right now. But what happens as these tools and aggressive new laws stretch into the future?
Right, what's next?
If digital likeness becomes a tightly controlled corporate asset, what happens when you apply for a job? Will future employers bury clauses in your contract, requiring you to sign over the rights to your digital face and voice as a condition of employment?
That's entirely possible.
Or what happens when you die? Does your digital likeness pass down to your children, giving them the legal right to delete anyone on the internet who happens to look like you? As we lock down the rights to our digital selves, we might just be signing away the rights to our own humanity.